All right, everyone, Elizabethwarren is fundamentally physically unelectable, and I'm going to try to explain why. And I'm sure that the handful of Elizabethwarren fans that'll see this video downvoted in haste and get all rancid and mad and clutch their pearls a little bit more. Most of them are pearl-clutching soccer moms, I think, or third wavers that have gotten off the Kamala Harris bus because she's even more unelectable. Elizabethwarren consistently polls behind Biden and Sanders in perceived electability, and this is a real big problem. Of the three frontrunners, of the three viable candidates, really, that you've got left in the Democratic Party, barring a major event at a debate or a major health crisis or something, it's down to three people. Buttigieg almost makes the cut. We can call it four. But that doesn't matter either because he's perceived as not that electable either. Elizabethwarren consistently comes in behind Biden and Sanders. She consistently underperforms them in Rust Belt states especially, although I think she performs a little bit better in some of the southern states, which is because she's a racist. But there's a little bit of dog whistling going on in the DNC sometimes, let me tell you. That's a problem, because think about the other two people that are being ranked as more potentially electable than Elizabethwarren. An incoherent old white dude who doesn't in any way represent the paradigm of the party, who's basically a dynastic nostalgia candidate under Obama, and an elderly socialist, one who basically has the same platform as Elizabethwarren, but at least is honest enough to tell you he's going to fuck the middle class by implementing it. She's considered less electable than a socialist and a dude with dementia. That's what it boils down to. There's no possibility that she could win a general election. Her very existence bothers the center left. You can tell it. There's a reason why the Rust Belt is rejecting her. They like Sanders more, arguably, than they like Elizabethwarren. There's a reason for that. He can be an avowed socialist, say, I'm going to eliminate your private health care through your union employers. And he'll still get more applause than when Elizabethwarren says basically the same thing, only with some weasel words thrown in to try to say, oh, well, maybe we'll make some exceptions. Maybe there's a few exceptions we can have. There won't be a public option, but we'll talk about it later. She doesn't even want to reveal her total plan. Her total plan is a bust anyway. Hillary Clinton came out and disowned it. Notice she didn't do that to Bernie Sanders. She doesn't want to tangle with him, I think, at this point, because she realizes that it's a bad idea to alienate the Bernie bros again. She's like, oh, I'll sit back. I'll let the DNC be the bad guy this time. Elizabethwarren, less electable than two people that are purely perceivably, objectively unelectable. Socialism doesn't fly with middle America. Socialism doesn't win the day in the Rust Belt. And if you think, by the way, that fairly close polling in these Rust Belt states won't get more in Trump's favor as the election approaches, then you don't understand electoral politics. That incumbent advantage is going to kick in. When he has one opponent to run against, he will gain approval. He will rise towards the end of the election, unless he does something catastrophically stupid. If he gets impeached, arguably, his approval may rise a point or two. That puts him well into the mid-40s. He's running between 43 and 45, generally, depending on the day. Sometimes a little lower. I don't think he's gone higher in a while. He's somewhere in that very narrow margin. Supposedly, he needs to hit 47 to get reelected. I think that that's bullshit, and I think that's just because we don't have enough sampling of precedent in order to draw a conclusion about the real number. I think you may have such a messy, by the way, contested Democratic convention because there's no clear, strong frontrunner yet emerging. Biden might limp into it, having hemorrhage support, having alienated the Bernie bros. I mean, you might have some weird chimera candidacy where you've got a neoliberal, dynastic Obama dude running, who, by the way, can't even speak clearly, with like Bernie Sanders as his running mate. Can you imagine the optics of this? Like, trying to find a running mate is going to be like literally going to hell for whoever the Democratic nominee is. Unless, again, it's Buttigieg. He's got that kind of sort of left-wing, kind of sort of I'm a Christian, but I'm also gay and I'm young thing going on. All he has to do is choose someone like a Mike Pence, someone who looks solemn and is older. That's basically, he probably would choose Biden. It'd be hilarious if he were VP for a second time. That's basically what he would have to do. I'm trying to figure out a path to victory for these Democrats. I have to do this, and I can see a handful of them, but they're so far out there. I mean, it's difficult. It boils down on to this. Trump actually gets removed from office, so it's Pence running against them, which I don't think is reasonably going to happen. I think the Senate is run by Republicans, and even if you don't count a couple of never-Trumpers in there, they've got the votes to block removal from office. It'd probably be a purely partisan, Shakespearean performance of a vote. They'll talk about it for a few days. McConnell will say, okay, have the fucking vote. All the Republicans will vote to keep him in office, and that'll be that. It puts a kibosh to any Dem plans. So he actually gets removed, so Trump's not even in the running. Or he dies, he has a stroke, he gets debilitated maybe. Or he does something that's like totally off the wall and literally, flubs it himself. He self-sabotages, says, I'm done with this shit, and just goes home and takes his toys with him. Again, I don't think that's likely to happen because he could actually get dragged into court if he's a former president. Of course he wants to be reelected in part for legal reasons. I think a lot of people in politics do. It shields them from prosecution. It makes their life a lot easier. It's funny because this is why some people have run. People are thinking, well, Biden might be running just to avoid prosecution for the Ukraine scandal. Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. It could be why it appears that he's uninterested in winning. Hey, I'm the front runner, effortlessly. The field is so weak that Biden's running the gamut of first and second place in all of the states without even attempting a candidacy. He's not ahead in fundraising. He's not ahead in ads served. He's not ahead I think in last place is enthusiasm-wise. He's still the front runner. Elizabethwarren can't even beat this dude. Okay, she peaks ahead of him in aggregate polling for a single day. She's arguably a little bit ahead of him in one of the starting states. That's not a winning candidacy. Elizabethwarren is unelectable. And the Dems would be insane to nominate her, which means there's a good chance she gets nominated. She's favored, about even with Biden in a lot of the betting pools. I still think Biden has the edge, but it could happen. Yeah, you could see Elizabethwarren getting called Pocahontas by the president on a live TV stage. That'd be funny now, wouldn't it? I think it'd be funnier, though, if it was Joe Biden. The best thing is all three of the frontrunners are zany enough so that it would at least be a funny election. Sanders will haul off and start rambling about socialism. Seeing Trump grill him would be funny. Biden might literally grow dementia-addled and incoherent on a debate stage, which would be hysterical. And Elizabethwarren has lied so much about her own personal history that there's a grab bag of things for Trump to exploit for cheap jokes there. It'd be a funny time. That's about all. Peace out.